Hi, this is Brad Constantine, and this is a podcast recording of the Old Testament. Although this is not an official recording of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, every effort's been made to be as doctrinally accurate as possible. I'll be using for the text the Joseph Smith translation of the Old Testament, along with many commentaries from general authorities of the Church, BYU professors, Bible scholars, and others. This format will be very detailed, and so if you want a deep analysis of the Old Testament, you come to the right place. Thanks for your attendance. Hello there, everybody. This is going to be for Ezekiel chapter 5. Hope you're enjoying this Old Testament podcast. There's a lot of Old Testament chapters, aren't there? 1,184 pages, but who's counting? Okay, verse 1 of chapter 5. And thou, son of man, take thee a sharp knife, take thee a barber's razor, and cause it to pass upon thine head and upon thy beard. Then take thee 3 balances to weigh and divide the hair. Let me just explain a couple things here that are going on here. This is kind of interesting. In this chapter, the Lord briefly explained the next symbolic act he instructed Ezekiel to perform. Ezekiel represented the Jewish nation, and particularly the city of Jerusalem. That which he was to do, his hair would also be done to Judah. The razor represented the Babylonians, who would cut Judah asunder with the sword and would be the means of bringing judgments upon them. To make the head bald or to shave or pluck the beard was a sign of mourning among the Hebrews and many other nations. As Ezekiel was to burn 1/3 of the hair in the city, so also would 1/3 of Judah's inhabitants perish in Jerusalem during its siege. The third of the hair Ezekiel cut with a knife represented the people who would be destroyed by the sword in the environs of Jerusalem. The third that was scattered in the wind represented those who would be taken captive and scattered far from their homeland. There would further be a sword drawn after them who would be scattered, which was signified by those hairs Ezekiel bound to his skirts and later cast into the fire. This act signified that even among those who were taken captive and preserved from the original destruction, some would later be cast into the midst of the fire to be destroyed, or to be cleansed and purified from iniquity by tribulations. That all of Judah would not be completely destroyed is attested to by the Lord's promise of eventual escape for some. That was out of the Institute Manual. Verse 2, Thou shalt burn with fire 1/3 part of the midst of the city, when the days of the siege are fulfilled, and thou shalt take 1/3 part and smite about it with a knife, and 1/3 part thou shalt scatter in the wind, and I will draw out a sword after them. Thou shalt also take thereof a few in number, and bind them in thy skirts. Then take of them again, and cast them into the midst of the fire, and burn them in the fire, for thereof shall a fire come forth into all the house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord God, This is Jerusalem. I have set it in the midst of the nations and countries that are round about her. And she hath changed my judgments into wickedness more than the nations, and my statutes more than the countries that are round about her, for they have refused my judgments and my statutes, they have not walked in them. Therefore, Thus saith the Lord God, Because ye multiplied more than the nations that are round about you, and have not walked in my statutes, neither have kept my judgments, neither have done according to the judgments of the nations that are round about you. Therefore, thus saith the Lord God, Behold, I, even I, am against thee, and will execute judgments in the midst of thee in the sight of the nations. And I will do in thee that which I have not done, and whereunto I will not do any more like because of all thine abominations. Therefore the fathers shall eat the sons in the midst of thee, and the sons shall eat their fathers, and I will execute judgments in thee, and the whole remnant of thee will I scatter into all the winds. Wherefore, as I live, saith the Lord God, surely because thou hast defiled my sanctuary with all thy detestable things, and with all thine abominations, therefore will I also diminish thee, neither shall mine eye spare thee, or spare, neither will I have any pity. 1/3 part of thee shall die with the pestilence, and with famine shall they be consumed in the midst of thee, and 1/3 part shall fall by the sword round about thee, and I will scatter 1/3 part into all the winds, and I will draw out a sword after them. Thus shall mine anger be accomplished, and I will cause my fury to rest upon them, and I will be comforted, and they shall know that I, the Lord, have spoken it in my zeal, when I have accomplished my fury in them. Moreover, I will make thee waste and a reproach among the nations that are bound about thee, in the sight of all that pass by. So it shall be a reproach and a taunt, an instruction and an astonishment unto the nations that are round about thee. When I shall execute judgments in thee in anger, and in fury, and in furious rebukes, I, the Lord, have spoken it. when I shall send upon them the evil arrows of famine, which shall be for their destruction, and which I will send to destroy you. And I will increase the famine upon you, and will break your staff of bread. So will I send upon you famine and evil beasts, and they shall bereave or deprive of children thee, and pestilence and blood shall pass through thee, and I will bring the sword upon thee, and I the Lord, have spoken it. So you kind of wonder sometimes, why is Jerusalem and Israel being treated this way by the Lord? Remember that these were the premortal covenant people who promised in the premortal life that they would do certain things, that they would provide service to the rest of the world, and they did not fulfill that promise that the Lord had in store for them. And so by breaking their covenant, now they become subject to his punishments and the consequences of their actions. Anyway, that's the end of chapter 5, and we'll see you next time. Bye.